Kangana Ranaut was recently given the Y+ security cover, and I'm sure you've seen the videos that have gone viral of her entering the Chandigarh airport literally with a ring of security around her. Now, with the Y+ security cover being granted for Kangana, it means that round the clock she's going to be guarded by the elite commandos of the CRPF or the Central Reserve Police Force. She's the only actor in the country to actually have this kind of security cover. Amid this entire controversy and this debate over the security clearance and this cover for Kangana, we thought we'd break down for you in this video the different kind of security categories that there are in this country and who decides who gets what security. Let's start off with explaining to you what are the different security categories in this country. Now, based on the threat perception of different people, they're granted different levels of security. What are these levels? Well, there's X, Y, there's Y+, there's Z, and there's Z+ category. Let me explain for you what each category of security means, what level of security it means. So the first is X, which means that the person, if he has a low threat perception, gets X security, and that will mean that it is 2 armed police, and besides that there's no escort vehicle or anything of the like. Then you have the Y category of security. Remember that Kangana Ranaut has Y+. So before I get to Y+, let me explain exactly what Y category of security is. It means that there will be in fact 11 police personnel. Also, there will be 1 or 2 commandos of in fact the CRPF involved in the security operations. Besides that, there will also be round the clock security for a person. Now, in the case of Kangana, it's Y+ security. So what difference does that make? Well, I told you that for the Y security, it means that there will be 11 personnel. In the case of Kangana, because it's Y+ security cover, it could be 11 to 22 personnel. And again, there will be commandos of the CRPF involved. She will have round the clock security. The next level from there is the Z category security. Now, in Z category, there will be 22 personnel deployed for that person and for their security. This will also include about 4 or 5 NSG commandos. And that brings me to the Z+ security cover. This is one of the highest in the country. A lot of personalities, VVIPs, as well as politicians have Z+ security cover. What this means is that there will be 36 personnel round the clock providing protection, providing security to this person, and this is be done by NSG commandos. So these NSG commandos are trained in martial arts, they're trained in hand combat and the likes. So extremely well trained commandos will be deployed for this person's security. It's only the extreme VVIPs in this country who get Z+ security. The likes of Amit Shah have Z+ security. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also does. Now, besides X, Y, Z and Z+, all of which I've explained to you, there's also the SPG. The SPG is reserved for the Prime Minister and former Prime Ministers. For Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for example, it's SPG security. Now, these personnel have in fact the best of weapons to protect this VVIP, in our case the Prime Minister. The FNF 2000 assault rifles is something that they are armed with, among other weapons. So as I explained to you, you've got the SPG, the Special Protection Group, the CRPF, the NSG Commandos, ITBP, all of them are involved in providing security to people who are identified as having a certain amount of threat to their lives. Based on, of course, the threat that's perceived, there will be a decision on what kind of security must be granted. That brings me to my next question. Who decides on what level of security and who gives this kind of security clearance? Well, in India, it's decided by the MHA. First, there is an assessment that's made by, in fact, agencies like RAW and several other agencies who are involved in internal security. They go ahead and give a report to the MHA if they believe there's a threat to a certain person. After that, the MHA decides what level of security must be given based on these reports that are submitted to them. So it is ultimately the central government's decision on who gets what level of security. If you want security cover, can you actually apply? The answer is yes. Any person can apply for security cover. They simply have to make a request for the same. If they believe that there's a threat to their life or have received any sort of threat, this person can approach his or her nearest police station and file a report or file a complaint. That's then followed by various checks if there is in fact a genuine threat to the person's life. In many VIP cases, there is also a constant check on whether there's a need to continue security. For example, if a person is given X or Y security, after a few months there is also a constant check to see if there is still a threat, and only if the threat continues to exist will the security level continue. Now, another question that constantly comes up with regards to these security grants is who pays for it. The expenses of the security is handled by the government. There are some instances where people, VIPs, decide to pay for their own security. Let me give you the example of Mukesh Ambani. He's given, in fact, CRPF commando security, and he pays a certain sum to the government for that particular security round the clock. So there are some VIPs who decide to pay the government, for the security that they are given by the MHA. So this is a breakdown of the kind of security cover that's available in India and the facilities that are provided based on the level of security cover one gets. We hope you found this video useful. Keep continuing to stay tuned to our NewsMo videos for a lot more information on this story and much more.